The sun was setting slowly when Larry, the billionaire prince, walked into his best friend's restaurant. He had just returned from overseas, where he went to study business and travel the world. But behind his handsome smile was a heart full of pain. As he sat down, his friend Jake, the owner of the restaurant, came out from the kitchen, happy to see him. "Larry," Jake shouted, giving him a warm hug. "My guy, you're finally back from America." Larry smiled and sat. "Yes, I'm back. But Jake, I'm not happy." "Why?" Jake asked, looking confused. "You just finished school. You're rich. Girls love you. What's the problem?" "That's the problem," Larry said quietly. "Girls love me, but not for who I am. They love my money, my name, my palace, and my cars. Not my heart." Jake sat down beside him. That's deep." "I want to find true love, Jake," Larry continued. "I want a woman who will love me even if I am poor. That's why I want to pretend to be a poor delivery guy." Jake opened his mouth in shock. "You? Prince Larry? A delivery guy? No way." "I'm serious," Larry said. "Nobody must know who I really am. I want to hide my identity and work like a normal man." Jake laughed. "Well, you're lucky. There's a new university in town. It's called Golden Hills University. My restaurant delivers food there every day. Most of the girls there are from rich homes. They love our food, and they are very beautiful. Maybe you can find a good wife there." Larry looked interested. "Are you sure?" Jake nodded. "Yes, I'm very sure." The next morning, Larry wore simple clothes, jeans, a plain t-shirt, and a black cap. He looked nothing like a prince. He sprayed cheap body spray and took the old delivery bike from the back of Jake's restaurant. He arrived at the university gate and walked inside with 2 food packs. Students were walking around with expensive phones and bags. Most of them didn't even look at him. They just passed by like he didn't exist. When he reached the female hostel, he saw a girl standing outside. Her name was Antonia. She was beautiful, no doubt. Her skin was smooth and her hair was long. She wore shiny gold earrings and expensive shoes. But her heart was full of pride. As Larry came close and said, "Excuse me, here's your food delivery," Antonia looked at him with disgust. "Yuck! Who are you?" she said, holding her nose. "I'm from Jake's kitchen. Your food is here," Larry replied gently. She looked him up and down. "You look handsome, but you smell so bad. Are you a human being or a garbage can?" Larry's eyes widened in shock, but he didn't speak. "Hope you didn't touch my food with those dirty hands of yours," Antonia continued. "I will call the owner of the restaurant tomorrow and make sure you never bring me food again." Larry quickly bowed his head and said, "Please, Ma, don't call him. I will spray perfume tomorrow. This is how I feed myself. This job means a lot to me." Antonia folded her arms. "You better be clean next time. Don't you see my skin? Do you want to spoil it with your smelling self? Poor people should learn how to clean up before touching things that belong to rich people." Some students who stood nearby laughed at him. Larry felt embarrassed, but he forced a smile and said, "Thank you, Ma. I will do better next time." He turned and walked away, holding the empty bag tightly in his hand. Deep inside, he was angry and sad. So this is how poor people are treated, he thought. If only they knew who I was. But he didn't stop. He said to himself, "One day I will find someone who will treat me with respect, even if I have nothing." He got on his bike and rode back to the restaurant. Jake was waiting for him. "How did it go?" Jake asked. Larry shook his head. "It was terrible. One girl called me smelly and warned me not to touch her food again." Jake laughed. Welcome to the real world. But Larry wasn't discouraged. He said, "I'm going back tomorrow. I will not give up." The next day, Larry woke up early and took a long shower. He used a sweet-smelling perfume Jake gave him and even brushed his shoes. He wanted to look clean, even though he still wore the same simple delivery clothes. He carried the food packs and rode his delivery bike to Golden Hills University. As he reached the school gate, he reminded himself, "Don't lose your temper. You are here to find true love, not to fight proud girls like Antonia." He went straight to the hostel again. As usual, Antonia was standing outside. When she saw Larry coming, she rolled her eyes. "You again?" she said. "Yes, Ma," Larry replied, smiling. "Your food is here." She sniffed the air. "At least you smell better today. Don't forget, I warned you yesterday. I didn't forget, he said politely. Have a nice day. She didn't say thank you. She just grabbed the food and turned away. Larry sighed and walked down the hostel block to deliver the next food. On his way back, something surprising happened. A soft voice called, "Excuse me, sir." He turned and saw a girl coming down the stairs. She had a tray of empty plates in her hands. She was not wearing makeup, her hair was packed in a ponytail, and she wore a plain dress. But to Larry, she looked more beautiful than all the girls he had seen. "You dropped your pen," she said, picking it up and handing it to him. "Oh, thank you," Larry said, surprised. "You're welcome," she smiled. "Are you the new delivery guy?" "Yes, I am. I work for Jake's Kitchen." She nodded. "Their food is the best. I like their jollof rice." Larry smiled. "I'll tell Jake. He'll be happy." "By the way," the girl added, "thank you for bringing our food every day. I know people don't say it often, but I really appreciate it." Larry's heart skipped a beat. She said thank you? "My name is Grace," she said. "What's yours?" "Daniel," Larry replied, using his fake name. Grace smiled. "Nice to meet you, Daniel. Please, don't mind some of the students here. They look rich, but their hearts are poor." Larry laughed softly. "Thanks for saying that. It means a lot." "All right, I need to go back inside," Grace said. "Have a nice day." "You too," Larry replied, still smiling as she walked away. For the rest of the day, Larry couldn't stop thinking about her. Grace. The girl who said thank you. The girl who smiled at him without pride. The girl who treated him like a human being. When he returned to the restaurant, Jake noticed his mood. "You look happy," Jake said. "I met someone," Larry replied. Jake raised an eyebrow. "Really?" "She's different," Larry said. "Her name is Grace." Jake smiled. "Grace, that's a good name. I hope she's the one." "I hope so too," Larry said. That night, Larry sat alone in his room, thinking. Grace didn't laugh at me. She didn't look down on me. She didn't care about my clothes or job. Maybe, just maybe, I found someone real. But something inside him also warned, "Be careful, you still don't know her very well. Take your time." He decided he would try to see her again the next day. The next morning, Larry dressed up as usual. He wore his cap, sprayed his body with perfume, and packed the food for Golden Hills University. But this time, his heart was beating fast, not because of Antonia, but because of Grace. Will she come out again today, he wondered. When he got to the hostel, Antonia was there as usual. "Delivery guy, you're late," she snapped. "I'm sorry, Ma," Larry replied, handing over her food quickly. She didn't even say thank you. Instead, she rolled her eyes and walked away. Larry turned around and continued with the other deliveries. Just as he was about to leave, he heard the voice that made him smile the day before. "Hi, Daniel." He turned and saw Grace walking toward him. "Hi, Grace," he said, beaming. "It's good to see you again." "Thanks," she replied. "I was hoping to see you too." Larry's heart skipped. "Really?" "Yes," Grace said. "I was wondering if you're free later today. I want to buy some snacks from the canteen, and I don't like going alone. Will you come with me?" Larry blinked in surprise. No girl had ever invited him for anything, not while pretending to be poor. "I'd love to," he said. "Just tell me the time." "After classes." "Meet me near the mango tree," she said with a smile. "Done." Later that afternoon, Larry returned and waited for her. When Grace arrived, she was still wearing her simple clothes, but she looked even more beautiful in his eyes. They walked together to the small canteen near the back of the university. "I hope you don't mind cheap snacks," Grace said with a laugh. Larry smiled. "I love them. They remind me of home." They bought puff puff, meat pie, and 2 sachets of juice. They sat on a wooden bench under a tree and started talking. Grace told Larry how her father used to sell second-hand clothes and her mother was a cleaner. They worked hard to send her to school. "We're not rich," she said, "but we're content." Larry listened, impressed. "You speak like someone older than your age." Grace smiled. "Life taught me early. I'm not here to show off. I'm here to make my parents proud." As they talked, Larry noticed some students passing by and laughing at them. "Grace, why are you sitting with that delivery guy?" one girl whispered loudly. But Grace ignored them. "Let them talk," she said. "You're kind and respectful. That's what matters to me." Larry felt warm inside. Nobody had ever defended him like that. As they walked back to the hostel, Larry noticed that Grace's sandal had torn a little. She was trying to walk carefully so it wouldn't break more. "Wait," Larry said. He bent down, took off his own shoes, and gave them to her. "Take these." Grace looked shocked. "What? No, I can't take your shoes." "I insist," Larry said. "Please." She slowly accepted them. "Thank you. You're different." "I could say the same about you," he replied. That evening, when Larry returned to the restaurant barefoot, Jake burst into laughter. "Where are your shoes?" he asked. Larry smiled. "I gave them to someone special." Jake clapped his hands. "Ah, love is doing you strong thing." They both laughed, but inside Larry's heart he was falling, fast and deep. This girl is too good to be true, he thought. But what will happen when she finds out I'm not Daniel the delivery boy, but Prince Larry, the billionaire heir to the throne? The sun was hot, and the day was already going badly for Larry. He was running late for his food deliveries at Golden Hills University. One of the delivery boys was sick, so Larry had to carry more food than usual. By the time he arrived at the hostel, it was already past lunchtime. As he climbed the stairs to deliver the food, Antonia was already waiting outside her room, arms folded, face full of anger. "You're late," she shouted. "I'm so sorry, Ma. I had many deliveries today," Larry said, sweating and tired. "You think that's my business?" Antonia hissed. "Do I look like someone that should wait for food like a beggar?" "I truly apologize. Please take your food." As Larry stretched the food towards her, Antonia looked at the pack, then looked at him with disgust. Without warning, she grabbed a bottle of water and poured it on his head. "Take that, you useless-smelling delivery man," she screamed. "Maybe this will cool your dirty body." Larry stood there soaked, embarrassed, and silent. "I said I didn't want any delay," Antonia shouted again. "Next time, bring my food on time or don't come at all." Larry quietly walked away. His heart was heavy. He didn't deserve this, but he couldn't fight back. Not now. As he pushed his delivery bike slowly toward the back gate, he heard someone call out, "Daniel!" It was Grace. She ran toward him and stopped when she saw his wet shirt. "Oh my God! What happened to you?" she asked. Larry's eyes were filled with tears. "It's okay," he whispered. "No, it's not okay. Who did this?" "I delivered food late. Antonia poured water on me," he replied, wiping his face. Grace's eyes burned with anger. "She did what? Come with me." Before Larry could stop her, she had turned around and marched toward the hostel. She climbed the stairs and went straight to Antonia's door. Antonia was outside, still smiling and talking with her friends. "Antonia!" Grace shouted. Antonia looked surprised. "What do you want, you poor rat?" Grace walked up to her. "Let this be the last time you insult my friend, Daniel. I don't care who your parents are. Next time you pour water on him or insult him again, I won't keep quiet." Antonia laughed loudly. "So you are already sleeping with a poor delivery guy? Wow, Grace, you are truly a fool." Grace's eyes widened. "I never told you we are dating. I only said he is my best friend. Stay away from him, you mannerless girl." Antonia's smile vanished. "What did you just say to me?" Grace stepped forward. "You heard me. You're a daughter of useless parents who failed to raise you with respect." Antonia gasped. "You insulted my mother. You will pay for this." She ran inside and slammed her door. Grace walked away, still angry, but proud that she defended her friend. But inside her room, Antonia picked up her phone and called her mother, crying fake tears. "Mummy! Mummy, please come quickly," she wept loudly. "What is it, my dear?" her mother asked. "It's Grace, daughter of a poor parents. She threatened to deal with me. She shouted and said she'll make sure I regret ever coming to this school. I'm scared, Mummy." Her mother gasped. "What nonsense! Don't worry, the police will handle it." Antonia wiped her fake tears and smiled. "Let's see who will win now," she whispered. 30 minutes later, Grace was in her room studying when there was a loud knock at her door. "Open up, police." She rushed to the door and opened it in shock. 2 uniformed officers stood there. "Are you Grace?" "Yes, I am." "You are under arrest for threatening the life of a student in this university. We received a report that you're a danger to others." Grace's mouth opened wide. "What? No, that's not true. I didn't—" "Save your explanation for the station," one officer said. Before she could say another word, they handcuffed her right there in front of all the students. Some girls started whispering, "What did she do?" "She wanted to beat Antonia," someone lied. "Her own is too much, let her stay there, foolish daughter of a poor man." The next day, Antonia was standing near the school gate, looking proud and full of herself as usual. She was laughing with her friends when suddenly her eyes caught something that made her mouth fall open. It was Grace, walking into the school like nothing happened. "What?" Antonia shouted. "How? How is she free?" She rushed toward Grace, pushing through the crowd. "You again," Antonia said in a loud, shocked voice. "You should be in prison. How did you come out so fast?" Grace looked at her calmly. "Why are you surprised?" Antonia laughed in a mocking way. "I know how you got out. You must have slept with some of the top policemen, right? That's what poor girls like you do for money and help." Students standing around gasped. Grace's face turned red, but she stayed calm. "Not everyone is like you, Antonia. Some of us were raised with values. Just because you can do anything for money doesn't mean I can." Antonia's face turned angry. "Watch your mouth, Grace." "I will," Grace replied, "but you, watch your lies." Just then, Daniel, really Prince Larry in disguise, arrived with a food pack in his hand. He noticed the tension. "What's going on here?" Antonia turned to him. "Ah, Daniel. Come and ask your friend Grace how she got out of jail. Maybe she will tell you the truth now." Daniel looked at Grace. "You're out. That's great. What happened?" "I tried to follow up, but they didn't let me say anything yesterday." Grace nodded slowly. "Even I don't understand. Early this morning, the police came to my room at the station. They told me I was free to go." "Just like that?" Daniel asked. She nodded again. "They said someone important spoke to the station. They said the prince himself gave the order." Daniel acted surprised. "The prince?" "Yes," Grace said. "They said Prince Larry heard about the false report and said I should not suffer for what I didn't do." "Wow," Daniel said, pretending to be shocked. "You never told me you know the prince." Grace shook her head quickly. "I don't. I've never even seen him before." Daniel smiled a little inside. "She really doesn't know who I am." Antonia looked confused and angry. "What rubbish! That's not possible. Why would the prince help someone like you?" Grace looked her in the eye. "Maybe because he has a good heart. Something you'll never understand." Students around them began to whisper, "Maybe Grace is special. How did the prince even know? I thought she was just an ordinary girl." Antonia turned and walked away in shame. Daniel stood quietly beside Grace. "You really didn't know it was the prince?" "No," she said. "I don't know him at all. But I wish I could thank him. He saved me." Daniel looked at her gently. "Maybe one day you will." When Antonia got home that evening, she was still angry and embarrassed. She threw her handbag on the couch and shouted, "Mummy, you won't believe what happened today." Her mother, Mrs. Dawson, came out from the bedroom slowly. She looked a little tired, but still had her usual proud face. "What is it this time?" her mother asked. "That poor girl, Grace," Antonia said. "She's back in school." Mrs. Dawson frowned. "How? I thought the police arrested her." "They did," Antonia shouted, "but now she's free. She came to school acting like nothing happened. And guess what? They said it was the prince who told the police to let her go." Mrs. Dawson's eyes opened wide. "What prince?" "The prince of the city," Antonia said, pacing around. "They said he heard about the case and gave orders to release her." Mrs. Dawson's face turned red with anger. "What nonsense! Who is that girl? What charm does she have? How can the prince know her and care about her?" She grabbed her phone and quickly called the police commissioner. "Hello?" she said sharply. "Why did your officers release that girl, Grace?" The voice on the phone sounded calm. "Madam, I'm sorry, but there is nothing I can do. We received direct orders from the royal palace. Prince Larry himself said the girl should not be disturbed again." "What kind of madness is this?" Mrs. Dawson shouted. "I'm sorry, madam," the commissioner replied. "We don't go against royal orders." Before she could say another word, the line went dead. Mrs. Dawson threw her phone on the table and sat down, breathing heavily. Antonia looked at her. "Mummy, what do we do now?" Her mother was quiet for a moment, thinking deeply. Then she smiled. "I just remembered something," she said slowly. The company I work with is organizing a big party this weekend. So? Antonia asked. That company belongs to the same prince, Prince Larry. The party is strictly by invitation, and it is for special guests only. Wow, Antonia said, her eyes shining. Mrs. Dawson nodded. I was invited, but I'm not strong enough to attend. I want you to go on my behalf. Antonia jumped with excitement. Me? At the prince's party? Yes, her mother said, and listen carefully. I want you to use that chance to meet the prince, talk to him, smile, show him your beauty. I heard he is still single and searching for a wife. Antonia clapped her hands happily. Oh, mother, that's so sweet of you. Don't worry, I will make you proud. Her mother nodded. Good girl. I know the prince will fall in love with you when he sees you. You are beautiful, smart, and classy. You deserve to be a queen. Antonia smiled proudly. The prince will definitely love me, and he will marry me. The two of them laughed and started making plans for what dress she would wear, how she would talk. It was a quiet morning. Grace was walking peacefully through the school compound when a man in a black suit stopped her. He looked smart and serious, holding something shiny in his hand. Excuse me, are you Miss Grace? The man asked. Yes, I am, she replied, a little confused. He handed her a beautiful gold card. It sparkled under the sunlight. This is a VIP invitation, the man said with a respectful smile. Grace held the card and read the words written on it. By royal invitation, Prince Larry's special party this weekend. She looked up quickly. Sorry, this must be a mistake. Why are you giving this to me? The man shook his head gently. No mistake, miss. His Royal Highness Prince Larry asked us to give you this himself. Me? She asked again, still shocked. But I don't even know him. Why would he invite me? The man nodded. He said you may not know him, but he knows you. He said he helped you once. He believes this party is the right time for you to thank him. Grace opened her mouth to say more, but before she could speak, the man had already turned and walked away. Still holding the card tightly, Grace quickly brought out her phone and called Daniel. Hello? Daniel's voice came from the other side. Daniel, Grace said quickly, something strange just happened. What is it? Are you okay? Daniel asked. She explained everything to him, how a royal staff gave her the gold card, how she was invited to the prince's special party, and how the man said the prince helped her once. Daniel stayed quiet for a moment. I'm scared, Grace continued. Daniel, I think Antonia and her mother are planning something. This invitation doesn't feel normal. Daniel replied calmly. I don't think it's them, Grace. It sounds real. Maybe the prince really wants to meet you. But I don't even know him, she said. Why me? Because you're special, Daniel replied, and this is your chance to thank him. You should go. Grace sighed. I want to go. But Daniel, I don't even have clothes to wear to such a royal event. There was silence on the phone for a few seconds. Then Daniel said, Don't worry. I will buy you clothes. Grace laughed softly. You? But you don't have money. Don't use your little savings for me. Daniel smiled on the other side. Of course I have money. I mean, enough to buy you a nice dress. I've been saving for some time now. Let me spoil you a little. Grace blushed. Spoil me? Yes, Daniel said. Let me spoil my woman. Grace laughed again. Who is your woman? Daniel's voice became serious. You. You are my woman, Grace. She stopped laughing. Daniel continued, Grace, I've loved you since the first day I saw you. You were kind to me when others were not. You treated me like a human being, even when you know I'm just a poor delivery guy. Please, be my woman. Grace felt her heart beat faster. For a moment she couldn't speak. Then she said softly, I liked you too, Daniel. Since the very first day. You were different. You listened. You made me laugh. You made me feel special. Yes. I'll be your woman. Daniel smiled. Thank you. She smiled too. So, what now? Tomorrow, Daniel said gently, go to class as usual. When school closes, I'll take you to the boutique. We'll buy you the perfect dress. Grace nodded, smiling to herself. Thank you, Daniel. You're too sweet. After the call ended, she looked at the invitation card again and whispered to herself, what is really going on? The next day after school, Daniel was waiting for Grace outside the gate, just as he had promised. He stood beside a motorcycle with a small helmet in his hand. When Grace came out, he smiled. "Are you ready, my lady?" She giggled. "I'm ready." They rode through the city, the wind blowing softly as the sun started to set. After about 20 minutes, Daniel stopped in front of a tall building with golden glass doors. A big sign outside read, "Royal Class Boutique." Grace looked at the place and froze. "Daniel, what are we doing here?" she asked slowly. "This is the boutique," he said. "Let's go inside." Grace shook her head. "No, Daniel, this place is too expensive. Look at the door. Look at the clothes on the mannequins. We can't afford this." Daniel smiled. "We can. Don't worry." "No, please," she said, holding his arm. "Let's go to another shop. I don't want to embarrass you." Daniel gently held her hand and said, "Trust me, Grace. I said I've been saving for some time now. This is a special moment. I want you to shine like the star that you are. Please, let me do this for you." Grace slowly nodded. They walked into the boutique, and the glass doors opened by themselves. Inside, everything looked like a dream. Bright lights, beautiful gowns, fancy shoes, shining jewelry, and sweet perfume filled the air. A woman in a blue dress walked up to them with a big smile. "Welcome to Royal Class Boutique," she said. "How may I help you?" "She's the one," Daniel said. "She needs a dress for a royal event this weekend. Please show us your best." The woman nodded. "You've come to the right place." Grace was shy at first, but when she started trying on the dresses, she couldn't stop smiling. Red, green, gold, blue. Every dress made her look like a princess. Daniel sat nearby, admiring her quietly. After trying on several, Grace came out wearing a long sky blue gown that sparkled like the stars. Daniel stood up, eyes wide. "That's the one," he said. "You look like royalty." Grace laughed. "You're just saying that." "No," he replied. "I mean it." The boutique assistant brought matching heels, a beautiful handbag, and even a pair of earrings. Grace whispered to Daniel, "This is too much. I can't let you spend all your money like this." But Daniel smiled. "Don't worry. I told you, I've been saving. This is not a waste. You deserve it." As they left the boutique with the big bag in Grace's hand, she looked at him and asked, "Daniel, how did you really save all this money?" Daniel smiled. "Let's just say I believe in preparing for special moments. And Grace, this weekend might be our breakthrough." She looked confused. "Breakthrough?" "Yes," Daniel said. "At the party, you will meet the prince. When you thank him, just mention me casually. Tell him your boyfriend is a graduate, but he has no job. I believe he'll help." Grace blinked. "You think so?" Daniel nodded confidently. "The prince is kind. Look at what he did for you. If he knows you have someone who is serious and hard-working, maybe he'll offer a job. Maybe our lives will change." Grace smiled, her heart full. "Daniel, you are so smart. I didn't even think of that." Daniel grinned. "That's why I'm your man." She laughed. "Thank you, for the clothes, for everything. I promise I'll do my best." That night, Grace went home and hung the beautiful gown on her wall. She stared at it for a long time. She whispered to herself, "I hope this party changes everything, for me and for Daniel." It was finally the day of the prince's party. Grace stood at the school gate, dressed in her beautiful sky blue gown from the boutique. Her hair was neatly styled, her earrings sparkled, and her heart beat fast. She held a small handbag and looked around nervously, waiting for the taxi she had ordered. Then, to her surprise, a luxury black car with tinted windows slowly pulled up in front of her. The driver came out, wearing a black suit and white gloves. He walked up to her and asked politely, "Excuse me, are you Miss Grace?" "Yes, I am," she replied cautiously. "The prince sent us to pick you up. We've been instructed to take you safely to the palace grounds." Grace blinked in shock. "The prince? Sent you to pick me?" "Yes, miss," he said with a small bow. Her heart started beating faster. "This is getting strange. Why is the prince treating me like royalty?" Immediately she picked up her phone and called Daniel. "Daniel, something is happening," she said in a shaky voice. "What is it, my love?" Daniel asked softly. "A luxury car just came to pick me. The driver said the prince sent them for me." Daniel laughed gently. Relax, Grace. It's fine. My boss is at the party too. I already told him to look out for you. Are you sure I'm safe? She asked, her voice still unsure. Yes, Daniel said with a calm voice. Trust me, you are safe. There was a pause, then he joked. But this prince hope he's not trying to steal my woman, is he? Grace laughed and shook her head. No, never. Nobody can take me away from you. Are you sure? Daniel teased. She smiled. I'm very sure. I love you so much, Daniel. Daniel's voice became soft. I love you more, Grace. I just can't wait for you to be my wife. I'm going to spoil you silly. Grace blushed and held her phone close. You always say that. Where is the money? I mean it, Daniel said. You'll see. She smiled sweetly. Don't worry. Till then. They ended the call with hearts full of love. The car dropped Grace in front of the Royal Event Center. The place was shining like heaven. Expensive cars were parked everywhere, and rich people dressed in beautiful clothes walked around smiling and greeting one another. Grace stepped out of the luxury car, looking like a real princess. Her sky-blue gown flowed behind her, her makeup was perfect, and her shoes sparkled under the lights. Her hair was packed beautifully, and her gold earrings danced in the breeze. As she walked slowly toward the entrance, people turned to look at her. Many guests whispered, "Who is she? She looks so elegant. She must be someone very important." Just as she reached the main door, someone shouted her name from the side. Grace? Grace turned, and there stood Antonia, dressed in a short red gown, her mouth wide open in shock. Antonia walked up to her quickly. What are you doing here? Who invited you, you poor girl? Grace looked calm and smiled. Hello, Antonia. Antonia looked her up and down with jealousy. Where did you get this expensive dress, and your hair, your makeup? How? What's happening here? Who gave you money for this? Grace laughed softly. My friend, the prince invited me. Antonia froze. You're lying, she shouted. You? The prince? Why would the prince invite someone like you? You are not supposed to be here. Grace folded her arms and tilted her head. Maybe because I have manners and I don't go around pouring water on people and calling them dirty. Antonia's face turned red with anger. You think the prince will look at you? Never, not while I'm here. When he sees me, he'll forget you exist. Grace smiled calmly. I'm too special for this argument. Let me leave you and your smelling mouth before I choke. Guests standing nearby began to laugh. Antonia's mouth dropped again. She was speechless. Grace walked past her proudly and entered the Golden Hall. Inside the beautiful royal hall, everyone stood and turned as Prince Larry slowly walked down the grand staircase. His royal robe shimmered and a golden crown rested on his head. He looked like a true king. But Grace was frozen. Her eyes widened as she watched him. That's Daniel, she whispered to herself, confused and shocked. Beside her, Antonia's mouth hung open in disbelief. Wait, that delivery boy? He's the prince? Grace couldn't move. Her hands trembled as Prince Larry, her Daniel, walked straight toward her. The crowd stepped aside, clearing a path. When he reached her, he smiled warmly and gently took her hand. Grace, he said, his voice clear and strong, I know you're surprised. I hid my true identity from you because I wanted to find real love. And I found it in you. Gasps filled the room. Antonia almost fainted. Grace just stared at him, tears welling in her eyes. The prince continued, You were kind to me when I had nothing. You didn't care about money, clothes, or title. You cared about my heart, and that is why, in front of everyone here tonight, I want to ask you something special. He slowly knelt on one knee. Grace gasped again. The crowd fell silent. Grace, he said, will you be my queen? Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her heart was full of love, shock, and joy. She nodded quickly. Yes, I will. The crowd clapped and cheered loudly. Everyone stood up and celebrated, everyone except Antonia. She stormed out of the hall angrily, pushing people out of her way. No. This can't be happening, she shouted. She rushed home, slammed the door open, and shouted at her mother, Mummy! The prince proposed to that stupid poor girl. Her mother, Mrs. Dawson, sat up in her chair. What are you saying? Yes, that delivery boy is the prince. He fooled us all, and now he wants to marry Grace. Mrs. Dawson stood up slowly, her face full of hate. This girl must be stopped. She picked up her phone and made a call. Hello, I need your help. Urgent job. I will send the girl's picture. Antonia looked confused. Who did you call, Mummy? Mrs. Dawson smiled coldly. Someone who handles problems quietly. She sent Grace's picture to a secret contact. The man who received it was a street gang leader named Max. He looked at the picture and froze. Grace, he thought, that's the daughter of Mr. Collins, the man who saved my mother's life. Years ago, Grace's father had paid for Max's mother's hospital bills when she was dying. Mr. Collins never asked for anything in return, he just wanted to help. Max stood up and said, No, I can't harm this girl. But he didn't tell Mrs. Dawson or Antonia that. He simply replied to her message, It will be done in 2 days. Back at the Dawson home, Antonia jumped up and clapped her hands. Thank you, Mummy. You're the best. You must marry that prince, not that local poor girl. Mrs. Dawson smiled proudly. You are my daughter. You were born to be a queen. I won't let that girl take what belongs to you. They both laughed without knowing the truth. Grace had once saved a life through her father's kindness. And that same kindness was about to protect her from a deadly plan. 2 days later, Max, the gang leader who received the order to harm Grace, sat alone in his small office. He stared at her photo on his phone and thought of her father, Mr. Collins, the man who once saved his mother's life. He picked up his phone and made a private call. After a few rings, a calm royal voice answered. Hello, who is this? Max replied quickly, Your Highness, this is important. Please listen carefully. Prince Larry paused. How did you get this number? That's not important, Max said firmly. What's important is that your fiancée, Grace, is in danger. The prince stood up from his seat, alarmed. What do you mean, danger? Max took a deep breath. A woman named Mrs. Dawson and her daughter Antonia paid me to end Grace's life. The prince's heart dropped. What? I couldn't do it, Max continued. Her father helped my family years ago when we had nothing. I owe him everything. I would never touch his daughter. Prince Larry was silent for a moment, still trying to understand. I have proof, Max added. I'm sending you the chats between me and Antonia's mother. You will see everything for yourself. Seconds later, the prince's phone buzzed. He opened the forwarded chats and read all the evil plans. He couldn't believe his eyes. He immediately called the royal security team. Arrest Antonia Dawson and her mother. I am sending you full evidence now. Within hours, the police arrived at the Dawson mansion. Antonia and her mother were still celebrating their victory when officers barged in. You're under arrest for attempted murder and conspiracy against the royal family. What? Antonia screamed. You can't do this, Mrs. Dawson shouted. But the officers showed them the evidence on a tablet. Their faces turned pale. They were handcuffed and taken away as neighbors watched in shock. News of the arrest spread quickly, and the whole city praised the prince for acting fast and saving his bride. 1 month later, Grace and Prince Larry stood before the royal altar, hand in hand, surrounded by family, friends, and the entire kingdom. Grace wore a long white royal gown, her smile brighter than the sun. Prince Larry stood tall and proud, dressed in golden royal robes. As the priest said, "You may now kiss the bride," the crowd cheered loudly. After the wedding, the prince addressed the people. I was once a hidden man, searching for love. I found it in a woman with no gold, no fame, just a good heart. Let this story remind everyone that true love is never about money. It's about the soul. The people clapped and shouted with joy. Grace and Larry moved into the royal palace. They ruled with kindness and wisdom. Max was secretly rewarded with a big house and a new job for saving Grace's life. As for Antonia and her mother, they remained behind bars, facing justice for their wickedness. And as for Grace and Larry, they lived happily ever after. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.